Everything you're about to hear is just my assessment. It's my opinion and not to be taken as fact.
Joni Lamb's recent statement regarding the allegations and the termination of her son, Jonathan Lamb's employment, raises significant concerns about its authenticity, content, and delivery. Here is a thorough critique that examines the flaws in her response, particularly when juxtaposed with Jonathan and Susie Lamb's heartfelt and transparent recounting of their experiences. 1. The delivery, teleprompter versus authenticity. One of the most glaring issues with Joni Lamb's statement is its delivery, which comes across as rehearsed and detached, likely aided by a teleprompter. Unlike Jonathan and Susie Lamb's raw and emotionally charged recounting, which resonated as deeply genuine, Joni's tone lacks the vulnerability and connection one would expect from a family member addressing such grave matters. This robotic delivery undermines her claim of speaking from the heart. This apparent reliance on a prepared script casts doubt on her sincerity and suggests a prioritization of damage control over genuine engagement with the issues raised. 2. Misplaced focus on Jonathan's alleged shortcomings. Instead of addressing the serious allegations raised by her son and daughter-in-law, Joni shifts the focus to Jonathan's professional performance and alleged dissatisfaction with not being named Daystar's president. This deflection appears as an attempt to discredit Jonathan's credibility rather than engage with the substance of his claims. Performance criticism. Citing a 15-month review and a refusal to comply with a performance improvement plan comes across as an attempt to create a narrative that Jonathan's allegations are born of professional grievances rather than genuine concern for accountability and justice. Nepotistic implications. By asserting that the late Marcus Lamb had designated her as president, Joni invokes familial legacy to justify her leadership, which feels inappropriate in the context of serious allegations involving her governance and transparency. This deflection fails to address the core issues raised by Jonathan and Susie, leaving her defense feeling hollow and evasive. 3. Accusations of a smear campaign. Joni characterizes Jonathan's actions as part of a smear campaign, accusing him of fabricating claims due to personal disappointments. Such statements are not only unsubstantiated, but also deeply divisive. By framing Jonathan's pursuit of justice and accountability as a personal vendetta, Joni diminishes the gravity of the allegations and potentially alienates her audience. Minimization of allegations. Instead of refuting the specific claims with evidence or explanation, Joni resorts to general denials and accusations against Jonathan's character. This tactic suggests a lack of substantive defense. Implications for transparency. Accusing Jonathan of dishonesty without addressing his specific points undermines her credibility, as it appears she is avoiding the core of the controversy. 4. Defense of late husband, Marcus Lamb. Joni's insistence on the falsity of allegations against her and her late husband comes across as defensive and self-serving. While defending a loved one's legacy is understandable, her statement provides no concrete evidence or context to refute the allegations. Instead, it relies on blanket denials that lack specificity or substance. Moreover, by intertwining Marcus's leadership with her current decisions, Joni risks conflating his legacy with the ongoing issues, further complicating the situation and drawing unnecessary scrutiny. 5. Misrepresentation of family dynamics. Joni's statement frames Jonathan's grievances as stemming from personal dissatisfaction and her remarriage to Dr. Doug Weiss. This portrayal feels reductionist and dismissive, ignoring the complexities and trauma Jonathan and Susie have publicly discussed. Oversimplification of issues. By attributing Jonathan's actions to disappointment over Daystar leadership and her remarriage, Joni trivializes the serious allegations of abuse and systemic failure raised by her son and daughter-in-law. Failure to engage with core concerns. This narrative diverts attention from the alleged failures in handling sensitive matters within Daystar, particularly concerning accountability and safeguarding. 6. Spiritualization of the conflict. Joni's framing of the controversy as a spiritual battle against a non-corporeal enemy detracts from the tangible issues at hand. While faith can provide strength during trials, invoking spiritual warfare in this context risks appearing as an avoidance tactic rather than an engagement with the real and serious concerns raised. Deflection from responsibility. By attributing the conflict to spiritual forces, Joni absolves herself and her leadership of accountability, which contradicts the transparency expected of someone in her position. Contradiction to faith-based leadership. True faith-based leadership calls for humility, accountability, and the willingness to confront one's own shortcomings, qualities that are conspicuously absent in her statement. 7. Absence of transparency and accountability. Unlike Jonathan and Susie, who provided detailed accounts and specific timelines, Joni's statement lacks transparency. Key issues include vague denials. The blanket rejection of allegations without addressing specifics or providing evidence undermines her credibility. Lack of accountability. There is no acknowledgement of potential missteps or areas where Daystar leadership could have handled matters differently. This absence of introspection is particularly jarring given the gravity of the claims. 8. Contrived request for support. Joni's request for prayers and support, while common in faith-based communications, feels disingenuous in this context. Given the tone and content of her statement, this appeal seems more like an attempt to rally sympathy and deflect criticism, rather than a sincere expression of faith and humility. 9. Conclusion. A missed opportunity for reconciliation. Joni Lamb's statement is a disappointing and inadequate response to the allegations and family dynamics at play. Rather than using this opportunity to demonstrate leadership, accountability, and a commitment to healing, Joni opted for a defensive and rehearsed approach that lacks authenticity. Her reliance on deflection, minimization, and spiritualization undermines her credibility and exacerbates divisions within her family and community. In stark contrast to Jonathan and Susie's heartfelt transparency, Joni's statement feels calculated and disconnected, leaving serious questions about her ability to lead Daystar through this crisis. For the Daystar community and beyond, Joni Lamb's response serves as a cautionary example of how not to handle allegations in public scrutiny. Her failure to engage with the substance of the concerns raised, coupled with her apparent prioritization of image over integrity, represents a profound misstep in a time when accountability and transparency are paramount.